Welcome to the I'm a Busy Guy show. My name is Vince Locasio. I'm a busy guy, but I got a really busy guy here. It's Peter Nicholas Silvestri. He's village president of Elmwood Park and has been since 1989. He's also on his fifth term as Cook County Commissioner. There's a long list of boards and committees that he's on. He's also an attorney, but his most rewarding role is to his father's son, Christian, and I'd like to welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for taking the time in your busy schedule.
My pleasure.
And I mean it when I say you're a busy guy. With all these things, especially in as a public official, did you know this is what you wanted to do when you grew up?
You know, even as a child, people used to say, you're going to be the mayor, you're going to be the mayor, you're going to be the mayor. And I'd say, no, I'm going to be an attorney on LaSalle Street, and I'm going to run some corporation. But and it just ended up being that was my life calling, and I ended up with the good graces of the voters of being elected in 1989 and reelected, several times since then. And then I was fortunate enough to seek and be elected to the county board. So it's been a good career. And
it started early. I mean, at 20 years old, you were a school board member?
At the time, I was the youngest school board member in Illinois. That record has been beaten, unfortunately, so my picture will go off the School Board Hall of Fame, I suppose. But, when I was 20, I was elected to the school board, and it was a great experience, too. Yeah. It was the same school I went to, so it was kind of, now I was telling my teachers what to do.
Really?
No, not
the principal.
At least the principal, right, yeah. It was a good experience.
What went on to DePaul University?
I went to DePaul University and the DePaul University School of Law, and so I have a law degree. And after that, I worked for the state in several capacities. I achieved the role of Associate Director of Labor for the state of Illinois. And then when I was elected to the county board, obviously, then I gave that position up. So it's been fun. And
there's still a lot to do, it seems like.
There's a lot to do. We were talking earlier about leaving our children a better world than we inherited, and we still have a long way to go to do that. So hopefully we can continue to try to make it a better place for our children.
Yeah. So. Which leads me kind of to the next question. A big part of what I like to feel on my show is about our Italian-American heritage, and you are first-generation Italian or Italian-American.
Yes, both my parents were born in a small town named Pofi, P-O-F-I, in the Lazio region of Italy near Frosinone, which is the provincial capital. It's really like the DuPage County of Rome. It's the first province outside of the Roman province, so it's kind of an interesting place. It's got a rich history. It's a short ride from Rome, as I said. It's very hilly, of course, like much of Italy. It's a great place. I'm glad, but my parents came here, obviously. Were married in Italy, and then they came, I'm an only child, so obviously much of my life was in the Italian-American culture, and continues to be. We always lived in areas where there were lots of Italian-Americans, both in the city and then later in Elmwood Park. So it's been a very important part of my life. We're all American. We should be proud of that. Right. We live in the greatest country in the world. Even with its faults and bad days, it's still the greatest country in the world. But I'm proud of my rich Italian heritage too.
Which part of, I know an organization that you belong to, the IAPC, the Italian American Political Coalition.
Yes.
Which sponsors not just Italians, but it sponsors and supports candidates that are good for our community.
Well, we like to say we support Italian Americans and friends of Italian Americans, people who subscribe to the same type of philosophy in terms of family and tradition and the good things about those things. We unfortunately have a culture that a lot of people like to demonize with certain stereotypes. That's true of every culture, but it seems like it's fun when people do it against Italian Americans. Yeah. And obviously we don't condone that, and we want to continue to promote the good things about being Italian Americans. The many famous people, the many good people who contributed to the American way of life, and yet their roots were Italian American. And this is true of every culture. The Italians, the Irish, the Germans, the African Americans, the Hispanics, everybody. America, but I think the Italians have certainly added to a lot of that, including in the pot. With the as we call it, the gravy every Sunday.
But I call it sauce.
Yeah, well, I call it sauce too, but a lot of people call it gravy. I know what you knew what I meant when I said gravy.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean a lot of people call it gravy, but I mean with respect to food, with respect to music, with respect to art and culture and sports, politics, you know, we've added a lot in terms of the Italian American contribution to that great society that we call America.
Yeah, and we're very proud of it because, you know, there is that, you know, that tie into the, we all know what kind of movies everybody wants to talk about and tie it to that. And it's like you said, it's almost like a free license
Right.
to make fun of the Italians for that reason, you know. But there's so much to be proud of, and to tie in with the political coalition, there's a long list of Italian American mayors in our area.
I think there's more Italian American mayors than in any other branch of government. I think the local government, there's just so many mayors from DuPage County, Cook County. You know, I'm in Elmwood Park. The mayor of River Grove, Marilyn May, is Italian American. The mayor of Norridge, Rana Pedisano. The mayor of Melrose Park, Ron Serpico. The mayor of Stone Park, Missoula. Mayor of Schiller Park, Montana, and it goes on and on and on, all the way out to Wooddale and beyond. You know, Burr Ridge, Wooddale, Elmhurst, out here in DuPage County. So there's just a lot of Italian Americans in local government. I don't know why. There's been no study done, but I would think it's because of the connection that so many of us have to our communities.
And not just the mayors. I mean, we got their state reps, Skip Saviano, and I certainly don't want to leave anybody out. But,
Well, we have Skip Saviano, Franco Goldipietro. I mean, I think you know he's Italian.
Yeah.
Franco Goldipietro, and does a great job. You know, he's leaving Springfield. This is his last term, and we want to wish him the best. Skip Saviano is going to be representing in a different area, but starting in Leiden Township, where I'm from, out west to the Wooddale and Bloomingdale area, and he does a great job. He always has. And we can go on and on and on. You know, we have Dennis Rebelletti. We have, Lord, I know I'm going to forget somebody, but there's so many Italian Americans in government. And again, that's why I sound corny when I say it, but I think that's what makes America great, is this whole mixture of cultures and beliefs and philosophies. And that should come to a better conclusion, and hopefully we can all continue to work to that end.
Sure, make us proud. Yeah. And there's some great organizations out there, not only as a publication, Frenoi,
sure,
which is part of pretty much the paper for Casa Italia. You know, it makes you proud that all these things are out there, and it's not just.
Well, you have the Sons of Italy, the Joint Civic Committee. There's so many different groups, and when people work together, they get things done. You know, and I know we forgot other groups. There's just many groups. Calabrese in America. Just Colombian Club, Justinians. There's just so many.
Well, they all come under the Joint Civic Committee,
right?
Which is also a great
that's supposed to be the umbrella group. Yes, of course.
Because there is such a large population in Elmwood Park, not just Elmwood Park, but Melrose Park and other suburbs, but a lot of it, we talked earlier about, came from different areas of the city. And something that you told me earlier that I learned, not just from Tuscany was like the main region that they were starting to come over here first?
Well, it depends on where you look, you know, but in the Elmwood Park area, the first Italian Americans were from Tuscany. In fact, there was a Tuscany club at Grand and 75th, which later on became Allegretti's Banquet Hall, if you remember that. And now it's a bank, like everything else. But they certainly had they had the initial contribution to the Italian American experience in Elmwood Park, Melrose Park, the western suburbs. But then later on, you know, from Grand Avenue, from Chicago Avenue, from Taylor Street, the building of the University of Illinois, it's Chicago campus there. A lot of those people moved to the Elmwood Park, Melrose Park, River Grove area. So we have a good variety of Italian Americans. But Elmwood Park is also more than Italian Americans. Obviously, we have a substantial Polish American and East European population. Our Hispanic numbers have grown over the years, like most communities. We still have a strong Irish community. We have, you know, a great Irish bar for St. Patrick's Day or any other day you want to go there. I don't want to mention too many names because it'll sound like a commercial. And Germans. I mean, we have a great community.
Which I know something that you're part of as well. That there's an organization called the Sister Cities.
Sister Cities, and we have one.
Tell me about the city that Elmwood Park.
Well, we had a committee formed in the I guess it was the mid '90s, to create a Sister City program. The The chairman was Frank Grimaldi, who was a great Italian-American leader in our community and in the city of Chicago as a whole. So we had a committee, and they selected Frosinone, Italy, which is near Rome, as I mentioned. And we visited, I didn't go, but we sent a delegation there. They sent a delegation here. They were here for the 4th of July one year, and they participated in our parade. Yes, they had a great time. And in fact, I remember telling the mayor, I had a shirt on, like a polo shirt with shorts, and he had a suit and a tie on and a sash. And I said, Mayor, you know, Sindaco, you don't have to wear that. We're much more comfortable. Oh, no, no. So he sat on that float all the way through the 4th of July parade, you know, and it was the hottest 4th of July in history. I know Italy's humid, so maybe he was used to it. But it was a great experience, and we would hope to continue to reinvigorate that.
It had to be a proud moment for both of you. I mean, for you to...
It was a proud moment because of our sister city relationship, and this was the formula. They actually came to formalize the signing of the documentation. So, and there's a place in Frosinone called Piazza Elmwood Park, so we're kind of proud of that.
Nice.
So.
Well, then we'll back up a little bit, and I mean, I should be fair and tell before I forget, but the website for Elmwood Park is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, the research that you could do, not just for something like this, but access to city services in just every department, forms that you can print out ahead of time that you know about. But to tell a little bit about the history, it was at one time called Orison.
Yeah, before incorporation, it was called Orison. Then it was called Marwood Park for a while because Merritt Marwood owned a huge farm in what is now Elmwood Park. And this all started because the train put a stop there. There was no station, but the train would stop and people would get on and off. Then in 1914, in fact, we're approaching our centennial as you do the math, April 8th of 1914, the village will be 100 years old, so we hope to have a celebration. But in that time, the initial population was a couple hundred. You know, now it's a town of 25,000. It's just short of 2 square miles. It's not huge, but it was built, you know, on 30 and 40 and 50-foot lots. So it's not, we don't have great estates, but we certainly have a very community type living. And River Grove and Elmwood and Chicago. So it's a great community. We have our own public school system. We have a Department of Parks and Recreation, which is like our park district, but the village runs it. And then we have our own library, and it's a great library. It's a beautiful place. So we're very fortunate. Elmwood Park, the people of Elmwood Park over the years have selected to centralize our services. We don't want to share, for example, our high school with other communities. We have our own high school. We have our own library. We have our own pool and our own parks, and that's the way it is, you know.
I mean, it's truly a standalone village. It feeds to and from the other communities around it.
Oh,
but,
absolutely, yeah.
The fact that it has its own high school is just such a great
yeah, it's the second smallest high school in Cook County. Public high school is about 1,000 kids. Great school. In fact, I went there. My son is graduating from there.
Okay.
Kind of. And my son is graduating from there in a couple of weeks. He's the 7th Silvestri to go there. So that's Elmwood Park, a traditional community where people stay and raise their kids. And so I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but I think it's a great community. And it's a very livable community. We have a garden club. We have a chorus. We have a theater group. We have farmers markets. We have concerts in the park in the summer. We have 4th of July parade, fireworks. Then we have a thing called Taste of Elmwood Park in August, which is a 3-day event where we feature local restaurants, and it's a lot of fun for adults and kids. Not good for a diet, but it's a good place. So we have a lot going on. So,
and just a little bit about the history. John Mills, developer in 1927, purchased 245 acres. You want to tell me a little bit about it?
Well, John Mills was a developer from the North Shore. He bought cemetery land, which later would become the Westwood subdivision. Elmwood Cemetery, I believe, owned the land, which is still there, but it was planned to be a bigger cemetery. So he built 1,600 bungalows, and set aside land for churches and for schools and for businesses. There was a central park called Circle Park. It had a French fountain in the middle. Unfortunately, my predecessors in the 70s got rid of it because I would have liked it still to be there. But you know, you just said 1927. We all know that in 1929, the bottom fell out of the economy. Much, you know, not. I mean, obviously, what we're going through now is not as bad, but we're not happy now either. But then it was worse, and people were losing their homes because these were brand new homes. A lot of young couples. And he did not evict any of them. He continued to collect whatever he could collect from them until they got back on their feet, and ended up living there for many years.
What a credit! And they were all working people, you know.
They were working people. Then he secured a stop, and he secured a stop on the train line, at the time the Milwaukee Road West Line, and so now there was a stop there, and that's how he sold his homes, because he was advertising that you live close to the city but not in the city. You could get to work in the city. Everybody worked in the city in the 1920s and 30s. You know, we didn't have industrial parks in suburbs. And
we didn't have loft apartments downtown.
But in 1920, before he built the bungalows, the population of Elmwood Park was 1,100. In 1930, after the homes were occupied, the population was 11,000. So and that was the greatest spurt, obviously, of growth.
Before we move on to, you know, Elmwood Park today, just so to mention, because you had brought it up, we talked about it before, some of the favorite sons of Elmwood Park. Ron Santo, for example.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, we started an Elmwood Park Wall of Fame program, and we were trying to identify people who have given Elmwood Park fame from in a different form, not being the mayor of Elmwood Park, not being anything like that, but you know, in different fields. So we have quite a collection. We have Ron Santo, who lived in Elmwood Park. We have Lee Lockney, who continues to play in the band Chicago, one of the trumpeters. He was from Elmwood Park. Jerry Korab, NHL, you know, Blackhawk. Ray Nitschke, Green Bay Packer Hall of Famer. And then we have, you know, the young lady who won the state championship in track, you know, Margaret. And then we have, I can't think of her last name right now, but a wonderful young lady, and we thought that she should be there. And we have Bob Allegrini, who you may know, who was knighted by the government of Italy. He's a knight.
At the Hilton?
At the Hilton. So he's on our wall. He's from Elmwood Park.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And we continue to build our Wall of Fame. Michael Durkin, our village attorney, who ran in 2 Olympics on the track team.
I read that today.
Yeah. And there's others, but you know, we're just pointing out.
And there's many on the way.
And hopefully there's many more on the way. Yeah. We want to make sure people bring fame.
Which it just goes back to the great thing about the schools that you have, and you know, it's a farm for future leaders like yourself. You know, it borders Chicago, River Grove, and River Forest, and to someone that doesn't live here, if they were just to go through, you're not going to realize that Harlem Avenue is a border. You know, it seems like one community. And so much that they've merged, and you said it was a while back that they merged their chambers of commerce.
The chambers of commerce, yeah, that was probably 70 years ago. But Harlem Avenue is a main thoroughfare, east-west, and the businesses on both sides of the community, obviously, we shop there and they shop on our side of the street. And this is true of North Avenue also, in Belmont, and Grand Avenue is really our main street. So we're blessed with a lot of small businesses. We don't have a lot of big businesses. You know, we have a Binny's Beverage Mart, which is big. We have 2 Walgreens. We have Staples, which is a very, very good community neighbor. Then we have a brand new Caputo's, a $16 million store, which LEED certified to the maximum, so it's a green store. And we're very proud of that because we want to push the green initiatives. Yeah, it's a beautiful store. So we have a nice business community. A lot of it's a small business, though, which is nice because it's community-oriented. And these are the people that sponsor Little League teams and girls softball teams and football teams and so forth. So they're really part of the community.
Yeah, and not just to mention the big stores, but smaller, if you want to call them independent businesses that have been there forever. Johnny's Beef, Russell's. We
have Johnny's Beef, we have Russell's, we have Connie's Beef, we have Elmcrest Banquets, which used to be Biancalana's restaurant. We have Armand's, which is now a different location, but still in Elmwood Park. Dosimo's Barbershop. It's not the same owner anymore, but the shop has been there since the 1920s, you know, so yeah, we have a lot of established businesses. Then we have a lot of new businesses that come in, new bakery like Sweet and Simple, or, you know, Bocce Pizza, or just so many. There's so many to name, I can't even name them all. But then we have Hunter's, which is a Polish-American restaurant, and we have Celtic Corner, which is obviously an Irish American bar, and it's a good mix of businesses. And we want more. So if anybody's watching and want to open a business, come to Elmwood Park. But we certainly have a nice business community.
Yeah. I'm getting hungry just having this conversation here.
Unfortunately, in Elmwood Park, food is a big issue. Yeah. We have a lot of restaurants for a small town. I say we have a lot of restaurants and beauty shops. So we have a lot of well-coiffured people who like to eat. So
you look good when you go eat.
You look good when you go to the restaurant, right?
And I
would be remiss if I didn't mention churches. We have,
Yeah.
We have several churches in Elmwood Park. We have several churches just outside Elmwood Park that our people go to too, and they're a great factor in the community too.
Yeah, the proximity to other villages it's great. We talked about the education already, but not just the schools, but proximities to it's in district for Triton, Triton College.
Yes, we're in the Triton. We were one of the founding communities of the Triton College District in the 60s. And we have our own school district, public schools, from kindergarten through 12th grade, all Elmwood Park. We kind of have an interesting setup. We have a kindergarten preschool building, which is 200 preschoolers and kindergartners. Then we have 2 first through 6th grades, and we have a middle school, and then we have a high school. And this is, I think, the optimum way to educate kids because they get immersed in their own age group as opposed to kindergartners walking down the hall with 8th graders. So.
That's huge. I mean, to have the lower grades, especially for working parents.
Absolutely.
For the little kids. One of the biggest changes that probably has affected every business, everything you live and breathe now is technology. And to me, and not just to me, but it seems that Elmwood Park is right there with technology.
Elmwood Park in the last couple of years has really been, I think, progressive in terms of technological advances. I mean, we do Twitter, we do Facebook. As you mentioned, we have a very extensive website. We have an iPhone app. You can take a picture of a tree limb down and send it right to the Village Public Works, and they'll handle it. And they work well. We have a regular, Facebook updates and just everything. We even call you. You get the mayor calling you and tell you to come to the 4th of July parade, on these robocalls,
Nice.
Which sometimes I'm not sure is good, but most people like to know when the parade is coming and so forth. So,
yeah. Well, you get them in, and but at least you know the village is thinking about you. You're getting a call.
And yet I still get people that tell me they haven't heard about something. I'm like, well, if you don't Facebook, Twitter, look on the website, look on television, because on television, Comcast and AT&T have announcement boards, and you don't listen to the robocall or read the local newspaper or the signs that are put up, because we have 2 message boards that tell everybody. I don't know how else to tell anybody anything unless I call them every day.
Or see them on the street.
Or see them on the street.
I know we talked a little bit about, well, you mentioned Caputo's with the green thing, but there's something going on with the alleys that you can do, green efforts?
We have applied for and received money for permeable alleys, which will allow water to soak into the alley without destroying the structure of the alley. This is good because it removes water from the streets, especially in areas that are prone to flooding with bad weather. We also have a flood mitigation plan. Now, we need the money to do it. It's a $15 million project. We did receive $5 million from the Water Reclamation District, so we're seeking ways to fund the balance of that project. But that will greatly alleviate flooding in certain areas of town that are prone to flooding. So, and ours is street flooding, obviously, not river flooding or anything like that. We do have a river, too, that sometimes floods, but that's not quite as frequent, thank God.
Something that I know it's on the website as well as the comprehensive plan. Something that they did, Chicago as an example, I think was smart when the way they laid out their streets and they planned the lakefront and all that. But what can you tell me about the comprehensive plan?
Our comprehensive plan is through CMAP, the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning. This is the 3rd one we've done in 15 years, and it's designed to get community input on where you want to go. Now, the last community plan, for example, calls for greater businesses and condominiums, for example, on Grand Avenue, the main street. Obviously, with the market the way it is, those condominiums are not going to materialize anytime soon. So we're looking at how to revise the plan from time to time. And right now we've had our community involved, we've had several public hearings, and CMAP will come up with these conclusions, and then we will be able to better judge which decisions to make in the future to keep the community going, keep it going in the right direction. We have, as another aside, we have a new park coming. You know, we bought a church property. We're going to turn it into a park. We have a the Belmont Avenue beautification plan where there's going to be planters and decorative bricks and lighting, and some of it's already built, but because of the early winter and then no winter, it hasn't been completed yet, but it's getting there. So there's a lot of things going on. The comprehensive plan includes, you know, residents, of course, and businesses being involved.
Yeah, those are the experts, right?
Sure.
I mean, you could bring architects and everything, but it's the people. You're allowing them to.
Well,
have
it's
input.
important for government to see what people or hear what people are thinking. Obviously, you know, nobody has a monopoly on good ideas, so we try to listen to as many people as we can. We get a lot of good ideas. We get some that I can't tell you on television because they're just whacked, you know. But
they're ideas.
They're ideas, so you listen, you know. But the majority are good-intentioned people with good ideas. So,
just to back up a little bit, I know. Well, and the final thing on the comprehensive plan they talk about is implementation. I mean, you can talk about it all day long, but what gets done is another thing, and it seems.
Well, implementation requires two things. You have to have the will to do what the plan says, and you have to have whatever resources are necessary to make that work. Right. You know, you might want a big room addition on your house, but if you can't afford it, you can't do it. Yeah. So that's really what the implementation stage comes to. And I think, you know, in the past we've been successful at implementing, and hopefully we will be able to this time.
Yeah, I salute you in Elmwood Park. I truly do, because it's, for, like we said, almost 2 square miles. The things that are going on there, the restaurants, the people, and I think that big thing about what the people said in the comprehensive plan is it's such a great family place. I don't know if we mentioned the aquatic center,
no,
but
we
everything
did.
you want to know is.
We have a recreation center, aquatic center. We have a baseball program, junior football, cheerleading, soccer. We've just got a lot, and we have a very extensive senior program. So we have programs from the time you're 3 till the time you're 100, or beyond.
Yeah.
You know.
And bike paths.
And bike paths.
Bike paths, I forgot to mention.
One bike. Well, yeah, one long bike path.
Yeah,
yes.
it's on there.
Yeah.
But like I say, I salute you, and I believe the library I forgot to mention has this great. If you're want to know on your own about history, as well as the Chamber of Commerce guide. It's a very, very friendly.
Yeah, the library has a history room, which is nice. It has a lot of old pictures and so forth. We have a great library, great recreation, you know. Yeah. Is it perfect? No, nothing's perfect, but I think they're all great. You know, I think it's a good place to live.
Elmwood Park's very lucky to have you, sir.
Thank you.
And thank you for being on the show, especially as a busy guy.
Oh, thank you.
I got some of the cannolis for you.
Oh, I hope they're from Elmwood Park.
So, yeah.
There you go.
They are.
Thank you so much.
Oh, God, I didn't think this would happen. I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right.
Hello. I'm with the mayor of Elmwood Park right now. Yeah. All right. What's another show that this guy wants to be on?
Oh, well, that's good.
I am so sorry.
No problem. I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you.
I'm hungry now.
Well,
so.
Would you like a cannoli?
No.
Okay.
We'll see you in Elmwood Park.
We'll see you around.
All right. Thanks again
Thank you.
for being here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Go ahead.